I don't blame reverse osmosis for me being sick for 8 years, but what I do say is that there are a lot of reasons to not drink reverse osmosis water, and that the consciousness that I was during the 8 years that I was sick was a match for reverse osmosis water. So I'm thankful I moved through that stage. So let's look at the base level story about reverse osmosis, the kind of bad issues about it. Environmentally, the process of making reverse osmosis is taking a lot of water and forcing it through a semi-permeable membrane. And in so doing, two streams are created. Two streams are never natural because nature just has one flow of water, not two different ones. And so you can know as soon as you're separating something, it's going to be coming back into unity. That's the way it is. But those two streams, one of them goes to be wastewater and one of them gets used. So about 75 to 90%, depending on the reverse osmosis system, of the water that's used in RO is diverted to waste. So it's bad environmentally. From a mineral perspective, it's also worth considering that reverse osmosis might not be life-supporting. Our bodies are made, we're big water sacs, and we're made of minerals and water. And if you don't put the minerals in, then as you get older, the mineral stores are in your body, are in your teeth, they're in your bones, and you start to shrink. You get smaller because the minerals are running away. So the experiment I'm running with my life is, how about I drink a lot of minerals as I age and see if I can't keep my frame strong and wide and really well supported. So there's environmental concerns, and then there's the mineral concerns. But I think the biggest issue has to do with sterility of the water. So if we go to the origin of reverse osmosis water, is made from machines. We're not machines, we're people. And so there's this cultural conversation about water being pure and safe, and that's the standard most of us are pursuing instead of pursuing the standard of life-supporting water. And so reverse osmosis is so sterile and safe that you can run really high-grade equipment and keep it ultra-pure and ultra-consistent. Makes a lot of sense. When you get into things like really finely made semiconductors and other technology, you want your machines to have the same reliable result all the time, but that's not what I want for my body. So during those 8 years that I drank reverse osmosis, I was pretty proud of myself for doing it. Kind of beat my chest, and I was like doing all the right things. And where that chest beating came from is I had a health practitioner who was world-renowned. He had people coming from the top levels of ruling families around the world and coming to Cohasset, Massachusetts, and seeing him and getting advice from him. And he advised me that reverse osmosis was the way to go. And so I put a whole house reverse osmosis in, and I even browbeat the manager at my office, where I was a high-performing stockbroker, and told him it was really important for all of us that he put reverse osmosis in, which he agreed to do. And I took water from both locations, and I took it back to this nutritionist, and he measured it with his TDS meter, and the TDS meter came out with a very low single-digit number, parts per million, of total dissolved solids. That's what TDS means, total dissolved solids, in my water. And I was like, I got his approval. I did it right. And one of the ways that I learned that maybe this wasn't right for me, that maybe this was a sterile water that wasn't supporting my biology, is that I had a fountain in that office. And the fountain was made of copper, and it had a spinning wheel. And I only gave it reverse osmosis water. And then I had a career change. And about, something like a year after my career change, I was out in my yard with a chisel getting growth off of my copper fountain. And I had this epiphany, this moment of just like belly laughter, where I realized that during my time in that office and living that prior life, I had been feeding myself water with no total dissolved solids in it, pursuing that standard of purity that everybody thinks is so great, and that I was giving myself a sterile environment. And so when I saw the biodiversity that was on my fountain that I was having to chisel off, I laughed, because I became very happy that I was having to chisel it off, because I was now giving living water to my body, and things were growing on my fountain, and things were growing in me, and I was healthier. So I think that's about the biggest issue with regard to reverse osmosis. The process of it is so forceful that in pursuing the chemistry-based distinction of pure and safe, we cause a chaotic vibration in the physics-based distinction of coherence or chaotic, harmony or chaotic. And so reverse osmosis water just isn't good to grow things. If you want to find out for yourself, I recommend you take some tap water and reverse osmosis water and plant some seeds and watch how the plants come up and think about what that means with regard to you. So, a lot of people have bought into reverse osmosis. 4 out of the 5 most popular technologies out there are reverse osmosis, and there's a lot of reason put out there into the culture that pure and safe is the standard of water. But I believe and I know that life supporting is a better standard for water. You can have pure and safe if you want it, but you don't have to have it at a cost. So if you're interested in pure and safe water, then I recommend checking out. My name is Patrick Durkin. I'm at thewellnessenterprise.com. I have a book on Amazon called Flow, From Pure and Safe Water to Higher States of Consciousness. And I'd be happy to dialogue with you. I love talking with people about water, about your water, and what would be a life-supporting solution that has a substantial removal of toxicity from the water, if that's what you want, and leaving the minerals in. And then we can talk about the energetics of your water too. So I teach all of this in multiple ways under a concept called the ABCs of water filtration. And I invite you to learn about that before you continue in your life having reverse osmosis and perhaps undermining yourself without even knowing that you're doing it.